So this is Baruch at the Tikkun Elevator Kolo, and we're working on Maisa Rishon. This is the first Maisa, Ma'avedis Bas Melech, with the lost princess. So now we see that the princess had come by him twice on designated days. He waited 364 days, and the last days he fell into deep sleeps. Achar kach hekitz v'shol es ha-masharish, and then finally he woke up. And he asked his servant, Heichon ani ba'olim, what's been going on? Where am I in the world? V'sipur lo kol ha'maisa, and he said over to him the whole story. V'shachailos, rabbles, halkul sham, as he said, the many soldiers walked through there. V'shahoisa kan merkava hanal, and there was this certain chariot. V'shahoisa bochol love, and this queen came out, and she cried on him. So that she also cried out that should be rachmanas on him, on this vizier, and her also. From the minutes to this, so then he looked, and he saw that this petula, this little node, Munachas Etzlo, was planted next to him. V'shal, me'ein zeh. So he said, me'ayin zeh, what is this? V'heishi lo shehi kozvach v'lecha b'chabdemos, that she said, that is, the servant said, that she wrote this on this petula, this little piece of paper, or whatever it was, or this ornament, alav b'chabdemos, with her tears. And he lifted it up. He stood it next to the sun. And he was able to begin to see the letters. And he read what she wrote there. So she wrote about all the things that she'd been through, and all of her cries and her tears. But now she's no longer at the fort. But what he needs to do is find her, is find a mountain of gold, or mibsar shal mamar galios, and a fort, a palace that's made out of pearls. Sham timsa'eni, that's where you will find me. V'hisher es ha-masharish, so he left the masharish behind. V'nichu, he left him. And he went by himself to see her. He went many years to seek her. He was out on the road all the time. And he said to himself, that certainly in the civilized area of the world, we're not going to find a mountain made out of gold and a palace made out of pearls. This is something very special. Because he knew he was an expert in all of the maps of the world. He knew where he was at all times. So therefore, the civilized world is not a place for me. I want to go to the desert. And he went to seek her in the deserts. Many years. Then after that, Ra Adam Godel Ma'od She'eno Enish Klal, he saw a tremendously large man who's really not a man. She'yeh Adam Godel Kol Kach, he was so big, no man is that big. V'chavanasach of Elon Godel, and he was carrying a very big tree. Shebeyeshuv Enu Nimsa Elon Godel Kazeh, but in the civilized world, the world that he knew, he said he never saw a tree that big. So this man asked him, Mi ata, who are you? Ani Adam, I am man. So he was wondering about it. I've been going for so much time in this desert. And I never saw a man here. So he started to tell to this giant. So the giant, I guess, basically said, who are you? And he said, therefore, he said, because I never saw anybody here before. So he told him the whole story about the princess, the lost princess. And he was looking for a mountain made out of gold, a mibsab shel margolios, and a fort made out of pearls. He says, let me tell you something, this, you're foolish. Nothing like this is around. So, and he pushed him away. That he's really, his mind has taken him to a place of nonsense. Because for sure it's not found at all. So he began to cry very strongly. That is the vizier. The prime minister, called prime minister. He said, it absolutely has to be. That it can be found in some place. He pushed him away. This giant man, Shapaga that he ran into him. So he pushed him away in his words, and he says like this, so whoever told you this, told you nonsense. So the prime minister said, but that's not true. There is for sure yesh. So he says what? So he says, so this strange man, to the second in power. Ledati he shtus. Am I thinking it's not ak? Because you're so stubborn about this. So I'm really parted all of the creatures of the earth. That is the wild animals. So I'm going to do this for you. And I'll call all of the creatures. Because they're running over the whole world. Maybe you'll know Mehar of Mibsar. Maybe one of them, since they're running all over the world, maybe they'll find and they'll know. So one of them will have seen this mountain that you're talking about and this fort. So he called them all together, all the animals of the world, all the wild animals, and from the little ones to the big ones. And he asked all these wild animals, and all of them answered they never saw that. And they all said the same thing. You see? That this is really nonsense that you're pursuing. So if you want to, listen to what I'm saying. Go backwards. Because for sure you're not going to find her. Because it doesn't exist. But he urged him. He kept urging him. But it says it has to be. That she can be found. And that she does. These places are there. This is Adam and Meshuna. So this strange man. The Hasheni the Melech said to the vizier. So if you go into the desert more, you're going to find that I have a brother there. And he is in charge of all of the birds. Because maybe they're going to see it, they're going to know, because of the fact that they fly in the air way up high. Now maybe they saw this mountain, and maybe they saw this palace. I would take Bibsar as a palace now, but and so that you go to him and say to him, that I sent you to him. So it took him years, and he traveled seeking this second giant. And he found another giant man, Ma'od, tremendously giant. And he lifted up Gam came Elon Gadol, he was also carrying a tremendously large tree. Gam came Canal, and he asked him also about this. So he said that he answered him all of the Masa, and that his brothers sent him along. So he also pushed him away. So this is stupid. So there's nothing like this. It can't be found. But he urged him. So that this giant man now said to the vizier, he said, I'm appointed on all of the birds. I'm going to call them. Maybe they know. V'korokola ofas. He called all the birds. V'shal es kulam, and he asked all of them. Mekaten v'adgodo, from the little one to the big one. V'yeshiva she'ena yoder mehar mibsa. They all answered they never heard of a mount, this mountain you're talking about, or this palace. Amalo halo ata rosh bevadai and nana ba'olam. So the second giant said to him, look, it doesn't exist. It's not in the world. Im tishmali, if you listen to me, shuv la'acharacha, go back to where you came from. Ki bevadai nanu, because this does not exist. Who that is a hinder Hashem, the melech, the malchus, the vizier. Hipser, so but he urged him. For sure, it exists in the world. Amalo, so he says, that is this Ha'adam Hasheni, this second giant man, as the Hasheni, the melech to the vizier. L'halon b'midbar nimsa sham achi. Then you're going to find, if you keep going into the desert more, you're going to find my brother. Shemamuna al-kala ruchos, who is really appointed over all of the winds. The Heim Ratzim kala olam, and the winds, they run over the whole world. Ula yodim, maybe they know. B'halo kamba v'kama shana devakesh, they went many, many years to seek them. V'malta adam godol gam came, and he came up to he finally found another giant man. V'nasa gam came Elon godol, and he was also carrying a very giant tree. The Shalo Sachabagam came, and he asked him also. The Heshilo called the Maisa Canal, he told the whole story. V'dachabagam came, and this man also pushed him away. V'hipser came, but he really urged him and urged him and urged him. He had to find out. So this third giant man, Hazechat Hasheni, the Melech, said to the vizier, so for sure, he will call in all of the ruchos, and he will ask them. And he called them, and then all of the ruchos came, and he asked all of them. And none of the winds knew anything. Now that we're talking about this mountain of gold and this precious palace. He says, this is nonsense that somebody told you. And he began to cry tremendously. I know that this exists for sure. Okay, we're going to stop here on this particular part, and we'll pick up another share with God's help next time. This is Baruch Fleischman of the Tikkun Elevator Kollel.